Hello and welcome back to Flannibal and Turtlewoods. We're doing a top 5 most anticipated games of 2016. Technically top 10 because we both have our own top 5s. Hopefully you will watch all the way through and find out our avant-garde, awesome, hopefully we're like super indie. You're going to try to be indie, Ashley.
Let's see.
So Ashley, let's just get straight to it. No holding back, no thrills, no bullshit. What is your number 5 of your most anticipated games of 2016?
My number 5 is the second of the two Tom Clancy games coming out this year, Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Nice.
I haven't actually played a lot of Tom Clancy so far, but
Nobody
I think
has.
this looks really good. I don't know, just the open world first person shooter. To me, it makes me think sort of like a GTA heist, but like a proper game out of it, not just sort of like some side missions. Just the fact that you can have this first person shooter, like working with your friends in a 4-player co-op, while like grabbing helicopters, dirt bikes.
Yeah.
It just looks a lot of fun.
And it's completely open world, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
Like a genuine open world game.
The whole game is going to be a 4-player co-op, but you can use AI as well to fill those spaces if you don't have other people to fill the gaps. I don't know if that's going to limit how free you are in how you can act, because if there's AI, I guess they only have certain ways of acting and certain methods of going about the mission. But they claim to have some pretty smart AI, and that is what they're pushing, the freedom to take on the missions as you want. So it's one to look at, I think, and it could end up pretty good if it comes out well. So what's your number 5 then?
Yeah, like it's kind of idyllic because it's another Ubisoft game. It's being developed by Ubisoft Montreal, For Honor.
Right.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this I'll start with the origins. It's like a background story. It's like how Batman became Batman.
Are you sitting comfortably?
So kids, sit on my little knee and listen to me. So far ago, about 1 year from today ago, I was watching E3 and I was waiting for Bethesda to mention that Fallout 4 was going to happen. And just before that was announced, Ubisoft came on, some weird man with a fucking cane who looked like a gothic Viking. He just pulled out this game and was like, yep, For Honor. For Honor's going to come out. It's a hack and slash game. It's basically a multiplayer game, and it's based on many different parts of history, like basically non-gun warfare. So it could be Vikings, ninjas, samurai. I think there's just loads of different like kind of Game of Thrones style combat. But the difference with this game is that it basically kind of has the spirit of a Call of Duty game or a Battlefield, like a typical multiplayer shooter, but obviously with swords. But it's different because there's a special type of combat, and I really don't know what they've called it, because I think they've innovated it. Like, they've made up this combat. I've never seen it before. Did you see the trailer for it?
Yeah, I did. It looked pretty interesting. Can't you control like the height and everything of both your hands?
Yeah, like it's literally like
shielding.
It's basically like when you enter the combat scenario in this kind of arena, because you can walk just like Battlefield, just like Call of Duty, you can run around the entire map. But when you get close to somebody, you kind of enter this rock paper scissors kind of game. Is like, I call it rock paper scissors because I think there's about 3 options, and it isn't like a mini game as in like, oh, pick rock paper or scissors. It's like real time, basically. Like, it happens as you're there. But like, there'll be circles, like one at the top, one at the left, one at the right, and you can basically pick where you're with the analog stick. You can kind of move the AI up. No, sorry, not the AI, the UI up, left, or right, and it will choose whether you want to attack to the right hand side of somebody, attack to the left hand side of somebody, or attack to the top. But then you can also do that with blocking. So the way it kind of works is that you can trick somebody, because you can hover your sword around on the left hand side, and then in the last 2 seconds you can quickly put it on the right hand side. And because they can see where your sword is going, so they'll see it going to the left, and it will kind of be flashing red, and then they'll be like, okay, I'm going to block on the left. But then you quickly put it on the right and then fuck them up. So I don't know, it's pretty awesome. And also, recently they talked about how it's not just multiplayer; they're going to have a single player. So I think they're kind of scared. They're like, shit, no, guys, we do have a single player. Don't worry. That like I think the storm was taken by like how amazing the multiplayer looked, and people kind of get pissed with like Destiny and Battlefront, the Star Wars game. And a lot of like stuff like Tom Clancy's Siege only being multiplayer. So I think Ubisoft are like, no, don't worry, guys. One of our games actually has single player. So I'm just excited. I talked a lot for a number 5. I think we should move on.
All right. My number 4 is Dishonored 2.
Oh, nice. Bethesda.
Nice. Yep. Well,
sorry, carry on talking. I'm just gonna have a sip of my tea.
You go ahead. The first one's a great game. I mean, widely praised. I think got 91 on Metacritic. It's really fun. It is coming from Bethesda. She says it's going to have all those great little characteristics you get in a Bethesda game. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of potential for them to work on all the powers and stuff from the first one. And from what I've seen of the trailers, it looks like they're going to do a good job. It looks like they're keeping what was great about the first one and just sort of tweaking it. Working on the powers. It seems to be maybe a little bit more parkoury than before.
Yeah.
Which would be great because I mean it's a stealth game really, so that movement is so important for that, and that's going to add a lot of fun new tactics to the game.
It's weird though as well because like when I saw Dishonored 1, I was like, oh wow, this is like. I don't know, I was like, oh shit, this is a bit like Oblivion, a bit like Skyrim wasn't out at the time, I don't think it might have been. I was like, oh, this looks like a typical Bethesda game, but like more like obviously more story and linear. And are they keeping with that for Dishonored 2?
I think so. I think it's still going to be fairly linear, and I think that's kind of a good thing.
Yeah. In
a way, I mean, there's the multiple paths and things, but it is a game that has been repeated as a sort of as good for speed running, I guess, and I think that's I don't know. It's a game that you can keep going back to, and once you like, it's kind of like you learn your track, and then you can.
Yeah, I saw a video of this guy, and like it's basically I think it's like the way the devs dream people played the game, but like I haven't played Dishonored. I played it for like maybe 10 minutes, and it was good. I just kind of didn't carry on, but it was like a speed run, same type of thing. But he was like running along, and there was some guy probably like 5 meters ahead or like somewhere like that, and he basically like threw a knife, I think, up into the air over a building, and then kind of like carried on running. And then when he reached that man who he couldn't see at the time of throwing the knife, he watched that man who he couldn't see, and then the knife got him. Like right. You like what the fuck? It's like. I just don't even understand. Like I remember like back in the day watching Call of Duty Modern Warfare videos where like a guy the match would literally just start and somebody would throw a knife, and then like 5 seconds later he'd get a kill across the map. It's like that kind of crazy shit that like the game has, that you put, if you are good enough, you can unlock that level of that next tier of gameplay kind of thing.
Yeah,
I can only imagine that being even better in the next one.
Yeah, so definitely one to look for.
Nice.
What about you? What's your number 4?
My number 4 is Dark Souls 3.
Okay.
So everybody knows this game, from Software, and it's, I don't know, super challenging. There's not much you can really say about a Dark Souls game, really, is there? If you've heard of Dark Souls, you know what it is. The reason why I'm excited for it, however, rather than it just describing the game, is because I really liked Bloodborne. We have our own experiences with Bloodborne.
Oh yes.
I remember, I think I bought a PS4 over summer. No, it wasn't over summer. It was when we were still in the old accommodation. And I was like, Bloodborne's good. I've played it for like an hour. And you were like, nice. And then I think you bought it and then played it.
I think I've nearly finished it twice now.
Yeah.
It was my favourite game of 2015.
Yeah. And we kind of just, every so often, just sat there for hours, especially at the start of term when we didn't have anything to do, playing the game. So the reason I'm excited for Dark Souls 3 is because, like, apparently, I mean, this is like from the experts, from the hardcore Souls fans, it has a lot of DNA from Bloodborne. obviously the graphic fidelity is like fucking insane, so it looks like Bloodborne because it's next gen, or current gen, sorry, PS4 and Xbox One. So apparently Hidetaki Miyazaki has just made a bunch of changes to kind of like shock people, and there's stuff like apparently there's rumors because it's only kind of been leaked like earlier last year, but there's stuff like you're able to create a fire wherever you want, like a bonfire, because obviously in Bloodborne it doesn't have the bonfire system, or a campfire system, but a campfire system is when you save the game.
Yeah, well, they've got their equivalent of the lamppost.
Yeah, the lamppost where you reach it, but apparently under certain conditions it's basically like creating your own lamppost wherever you want type thing, so it's not quick saving.
I guess that's going to make it easier.
Yeah, well the thing is, the kind of conditions, and this is just speculation, but it's they kind of had to frame it so that it isn't easy, and apparently there's stuff like you have to drag a dead body into a certain area and set fire to that dead body, but the only way you can do that is when you put all of your weapons away, so you become completely weaponless while doing this entire setup, so you're like free to be killed.
Right.
So that makes me think that like under the conditions of being able to set up a campfire, there needs to be nobody there anyway. So if you've cleared the area, you might as well be able to save the game. If that makes sense, like if you're basically not going to be able to do the campfire if you haven't cleared the area. So like it kind of makes it easier in the way that on the games now, if you're halfway through the arena, you're fucked if you die because you go straight back to the beginning. So I guess it might help that, but I don't know.
It depends on. I don't know. Well, obviously we don't know what the game's gonna be like.
And
it depends on how busy it is throughout.
Yeah.
Like there are a lot of places in Bloodborne where you could potentially have the opportunity to do something like that about 10 times in the space of a level before you normally reach a lamppost. But if it's a lot busier, and then you wouldn't have that opportunity, I guess.
Yeah. It's weird because one of my favorite and not favorite things about the game is the suspense. Like, but to me it's kind of a false suspense. Like everything hinges on the fact that if you die, it's all over. And although I love Bloodborne, and that's my kind of first proper experience of the From Software games, because obviously they're all fairly similar, so like you kind of know what you're getting, but that makes that literally just not being able to save, and if you die, you die, makes the game kind of go from 1 to 10. Like if it didn't have that, it'd be a lesser game, because if you could just quick save, well then the whole crux of the game is gone. So I think if they did implement that, they'd also have to reprimand a lot of other stuff in the game to make it a game that isn't fucked over by that being removed.
Yeah.
So
definitely want to watch.
Yeah, if it does happen, I think it will definitely increase the experience, maybe. But we'll have to see. But yeah, it's number 4, so it's not my top one. Yeah. I'm looking for it.
Well, my number 3 is actually Dark Souls 3. So let's have another little chat about that.
All right, a little one.
Like I said, Bloodborne was my favourite game in 2015.
Yeah.
I loved that game and hated it so much at the same time. But it's just, yes, it's really hard, and that's what's so rewarding about it. Like you were saying, that is part of the game. It's great. I loved it. I'm really looking forward to Dark Souls 3. More of the great that has already happened. It is only number 3 because now it's becoming a yearly franchise. I'm not that excited about it as I would if it was more spread out, I think.
Yeah. It's the last one, apparently.
Is it?
It's the last Dark Souls. It's its ultimate finale, which is why it's so hyped.
Right. But I don't know. Is it the last Souls game? It's not going to be the last thing like it. They could bring out another Bloodborne, couldn't they?
Yeah, they'll call it
similar,
fucking...
So it's never going to...
They'll call it Pussy Hole or something. I don't know. Yeah, there's something weird about annual franchises because it kind of gets you a bit jaded. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't want the game to become Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's kind of impressive because it doesn't really happen. Like, for this kind of slightly small indie developer, kind of indie, not really, but for this developer that isn't Activision to be, like, annually releasing is impressive just in the fact of it, like, being... Just in the fact that they're doing it, even though it's not that great, but Yeah, I do prefer Bethesda's style of just like taking 6 years. But I guess that would mean you'd have to wait 6 years for the next Bloodborne, and do you really want to wait 6 years?
Oh well, we all know it's going to be a noob shit.
Noob shit, noob, fuck you, noob.
It's not quite Dark Souls.
You're not
1, is it?
hardcore.
It's not hardcore.
You didn't play
enough.
Souls, Demon Souls on PS1 or NES, whatever the fuck it was on. Fuck you.
Easy mode.
Easy mode.
What's your number 3 then?
My number 3 is Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands. We've got a lot of overlapping here. Something tells me we have similar taste in games. We've already talked about it, so there's not really much. The stuff that I wrote down was about the AI being apparently complex, and it's the weird thing, and my only kind of fear for these types of games is when they say that the AI and like all of the the kind of way that you tackle the set pieces, like if there's a big warehouse full of people and your goal is to extract somebody, they say you can approach it in 6 different ways, and the AI will understand how you're going. You can gun them down, or you can sneak in, or you can sniper them. Something tells there's nothing in the game or the trailer that makes me like, oh shit, that's not going to be true. But it never really happens. That you pretty much just do it the one way, and everybody kind of does that, and it's a bit weird. So like when they laud that kind of stuff, like I feel like Bethesda never ever say that kind of stuff, but you can always do it in their games.
Well, they have gone in a little bit into what it makes them so clever in the trailer. They were saying about how well, for the enemy anyway, I don't think they said too much about if you have AI on your own side.
Yeah.
But they said about how they would try and there'd be different ways to attack the building, and then they would always try to find a way around you to flank you from behind, encircle you, stuff like that.
Okay.
Which means you have to keep aware of your surroundings, which I think is what you need if you're going to try and make a first-person shooter into an open-world game.
Yeah, I mean, again, like they've had experience with Far Cry and Assassin's Creed, so it can only be better than those games, really, can't it? It can only improve. So, yeah, it is definitely exciting. Simply on the fact that it's 4-player as well. Like, oh, that's just so cool. Like typical. The thing that got me about literally the only thing that made me want to buy Far Cry was all of the different paragliding kind of like trailers of like your character jumping off of a mountain and then parachuting down into this huge open world, and Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Wildlands has that. So just on that,
on
boom.
The last Far Cry, you could do that from a certain place.
Yeah.
Where you had the thing. You'll be able to grab a helicopter and get just from anywhere you like.
Exactly. So yeah, stay excited. The one thing though is, as a PC gamer, I'm scared because Ubisoft are fucking terrible at release days, and also 2 months after the release they're terrible, and then a year on, like I still can't play Far Cry despite the fact that my graphics card is overly capable. But there was that time when we played Far Cry for like 2 hours straight, but then I tried it another time and it just crashed. So we'll see. But that's just glitches. That's fine. Whatever. I might just get it on PS4 if I have to. So for you, what's your number 3?
My number 3 was Dark Souls 3.
Oh yeah. What's your number 2?
My number 2 is Overwatch.
Attackers incoming. Prepare your defenses.
Nice.
It just looks like so much fun.
Yeah.
It's bringing TF2 up to date, really. TF2 is a great game. I think it's the game I've put the most hours onto on Steam.
Okay.
It's just more of that, really.
And it's made by the perfect company who just always like. I don't know, they always nail games. They just know how to make games that have gameplay aspects to them. None of this like Heavy Rain, Until Dawn crap of like storyline. Blizzard are just, I don't know, they know how to make a game, and they know how to make things addictive as well. Whether that's a good thing or not,
Yeah.
But
it's gonna have that balance of first person shooter with an arcade game. Just play it over and over again for hours.
Yeah.
It's so addictive.
And then there's this obviously the like fantasy / supernatural spin to it, where like you can just become a dragon and kill people, like everybody in your path.
You can pick it up, you can get into it really easily and go from only just picking it up to being decent in a short space of time.
Yeah.
And then, so you don't have to work too hard to get into it, but then once you're into it, it's quick to get to a certain level, and then there's a whole new level for the really pro players.
Yeah, well, it's like
tactics and
it's like Mario Kart. Like, it's a simple game. Like Mario Kart, you just drive forward.
You can always finish. I mean, it's not like a simulation, but yeah.
Like with Overwatch, the way you can play it is just running around and shooting. In the same way on Mario Kart, you can just drive. MLG, next level, esport kind of tier to it that you can unlock if you want to.
So what's your number 2?
Number 2, it was hard whether it was going to be number 1. There's some drawbacks, and I'll explain why it's not my number 1. Otherwise, it would be. It's one of my favourite game franchises ever that I've ever played in my fucking life. My number 2 is Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 4. So,
Okay.
Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm 1 came out on PS3, and then the Ultimate Ninja Storm 2 also came out on PS3, and then they had a bunch of others. I'm so excited because this is the first next gen, or I keep saying next gen, it's actually current gen, the first current gen Naruto game. So it's going to be on PS4, Xbox One, and obviously PC, because, why not get those PC sales? It's by CyberConnect 2. And the thing I love about Naruto games is that you know what you're getting, but also they always change something. I don't want to compare it to FIFA, but it's kind of like how FIFA fans get so kind of obsessed with the current game that they have, and then the developer just kind of changes the thing, even though that thing that they've added could have been in the previous game. But the thing about Naruto is that the game is so good, and they don't leave things out on purpose, but they kind of they're like, oh yeah, this is a new aspect of like the gameplay that we can add, so let's add that. So in the first one, like, you've never watched Naruto, have you?
No, I'm a complete noob.
Okay, well, like, part of Naruto is using substitution, so like the typical like Japanese ninja thing where like you get stabbed, but then like you replace your body with a log. Have you ever seen that? Like,
no.
Yeah, like, it's just the thing. Like, somebody will go swing. If you swung a punch at me, I would use substitution jutsu and then like disappear, and then a log would be in my place, and you actually punched the log, like the tree log. And you can do that in the game. Like, when you press, I think it's R1, R1, you like substitute. And in the first ones, what would happen is that you could just substitute over and over and over and over and over again. If somebody punched you, like, and so you were in mid-battle, you could substitute, and then you'd appear behind them. But then in Ultimate Ninja Storm 3, they made it so that you had limited substitutions, and you only had 3. So it literally just, like, upturned the game. Like, everybody who knew how to play Ultimate Ninja Storm 3 who was, like, epic and awesome at the game, when they got the new one that came out, it was like, fuck, what? I'm only allowed 3 substitutions. Like, the way you have to, like, it's hard to think of how much that little detail could change the game, but it changes it so much. And like, the way I see Naruto is kind of a bit like Rocket League, like, in the way that you can just get into the game and just fight. Oh my god, I'm just going to be talking for so long about this game, but it's basically it's a fighting game, and it's so awesome. But it's not like Tekken, it's not like Mortal Kombat, where it's like left to right, and you're just fighting somebody on like, you're just going to, if you're on the left side of the screen and you're playing like Sub-Zero, and then you want to kill the other person who's on the right side of the screen. With Naruto, it's like this huge 3D battleground where you can run around the entire thing, and there's just such a high level of gameplay. Like, like, on Ultimate Ninja Storm 2, when I got it on PS3, I sunk literally about 100 hours into it, and that was within like the first month. This game is just, I'm so addicted, and I can't fucking wait, and yeah, it's gonna be so good. Well, after that huge Naruto fanboy rant, and I could literally go on for hours, but I'm not going to. All the Naruto fans understand. What's your number 2?
My number 2 was Overwatch.
For fuck's sake. What's your number 1?
Do you have any idea what my number 1 might be?
Okay, yeah, let's take some... oh, wait, no. Do you want to do some honourable mentions? Like, off the top of your head. We didn't plan to do this, but...
I don't.
Any honourable mentions? No? You can say no.
No.
Okay, your number 1... Oh, shit. I'm gonna... Don't tell me.
It's a new game.
Okay, so it's a new IP. Is it Horizon? Zero.
Sorry?
Is it Horizon?
Hold on, your mic is gone again.
Horizon.
Yes, it is.
One thing that you should know almost immediately is, yes, you can explore everything that you can see here.
Okay.
It's got robotic dinosaurs, and I mean, that's probably enough to sell the game as it is.
Right.
There's actually going to be quite a few dinosaur games in 2016.
Yeah.
You've got Horizon, you've got Ark officially coming out
Yeah.
at some point. Where else? There's No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Far Cry, I don't know, it's not really dinosaurs, but
Primal.
It's Primal,
Right.
so yeah. It just looks like an amazing open world. Kind of post-apocalyptic. It's going to give them a lot to play with because you can get bits of old, bits of new, and stick them together. So you've got it's set 1,000 years after society collapses.
Right.
So you've got massive advancements, but then also the ancient, and that gives them a lot of scope of what you'll be able to do.
Yeah.
It looks like really interesting combat. I mean, you saw it in E3, didn't you?
Yeah.
With, the big thunder jaw that you have to take down. You can take it down by hitting certain bits of the dinosaur.
Yeah, it's like Shadow of
parts,
Colossus
use
or
that
something.
Against it. Use its own weapons against it. Yeah, it looks fresh. It looks great, really.
Yeah.
It is PS4 exclusive, but I have a PS4,
So fuck
yeah.
you, noob. Fuck you, Xbox users. Fuck you, noob. Yeah, I did like the look of it, even if it's deceptive, and I don't think it is deceptive, but like it looks good. Like the way they presented it to everybody was like new, just completely new. Like, yeah, the whole boss battle was enough to like make you go, oh wow, that's something new. I want to play that. Like that's a new approach to fighting a boss. So yeah, even just that. Even if the rest of the game was like Tomb Raider, it doesn't matter.
Okay, what's your number 1?
Okay, well, I'm going to say some honourable mentions.
All right.
So I have to say that my number 1 would be Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it's not coming out in 2016. And it might come out in 2016. They just haven't said, so I couldn't put it in my list. But there doesn't even need to be an explanation. It's going to be fucking great, and it looks great. The other thing that they also haven't mentioned, but everybody knows it's coming out because Ubisoft love to milk their franchises if they did well. And that is Watch Dogs 2. And that looks so cool. Probably shouldn't go into too much detail because it's an honorable mention, but the first one looked awesome. I didn't really play that much of it. My friend had it, and there was obviously setbacks and stuff like that, but even the first Assassin's Creed wasn't very good, and they made it a lot better, so I think they're going to do the same type of thing with Watch Dogs. Number 1, which is a game that when it is released, because there is a release date, it will have officially been in development for 10 years. So it better be the best fucking game in history. It's Final Fantasy 15.
Peggy 16.
Square Enix, of course, who are clearly known for their like epic graphics. At any time, whenever there's a game that comes out, you can always count on Square Enix to be better at graphics than it. Like, they just know... I don't know what it is. Like, you'd think that their rivals, even if there are rivals for Final Fantasy, if there are any, would be able to get graphics like that. But I've never seen Final Fantasy... Like, sometimes games catch up to Final Fantasy graphics, but they never have it at the time. And I don't know what it is. Like, why do Square Enix have better graphics? I don't know. But it's not about graphics anyway. When you first approach the game, it's basically full of cars, and it's a new age style, which is kind of probably not what people associate with Final Fantasy, but they might. Final Fantasy VII is kind of steampunky, and then once you leave Midgar, the big town, it's very grassy, typical Zelda kind of stuff. And Final Fantasy 13 is probably the first one that proper took that new turn into that kind of weird, half new, half old, not like Horizon, but kind of that same thing where it's like all of the trains are super sleek, and like the phones and like the equipment everybody's using is like 10 years ahead of what we are now. But then there's like weird fucking monsters that just shouldn't be in a modern setting. So just on that is getting me excited for Final Fantasy 15. And then there's the hit you hard thing, which is what Metal Gear Solid did. And they mentioned that it's an open world game, which is the first time a Final Fantasy game of this scale, next gen type of stuff, because Final Fantasy 13 was an open world, 10 Part 2 was an open world, 10 was an open world, and this one's open world. And I don't know how the fuck they've achieved those graphics in an open world like setting. Like, it has if you compare it to Far Cry or Assassin's Creed, the graphics of Final Fantasy 15 are literally about 5 times better, and it's a fully open world game, and like it's so to scale. Like, there's these huge dinosaurs, like if you Google it, like these fucking massive dinosaurs like roaming around the world, and you're like, what? How is this possible? Like, I think they're wizards. I do think they're wizards. And then I have some little mentions about the game. One was the huge summons. There's this guy called Ramuh. His name is spelled like Ramuh. You might want to YouTube it as I'm explaining it to you, so you actually understand what the fuck I'm talking about. But Final Fantasy 15 has these massive summons. Like, you can summon. Final Fantasy has always had summons, but like this one, like you just summon this huge old white man, and he's got like weird horns, and he looks like God, and he's fucking massive, and like he just does this epic sequence of moves, and you can control him, and like I can't even imagine how like just that tiny thing that they've shown us with the summons could become even bigger when the game is fully released. And then obviously there's apparently great personalities, and I don't think story is the best thing in games, or the thing that should be primary, but a lot of the recent Final Fantasy games, like 13, have had main characters that are just fucking boring. Like, I don't like Lightning. She's cardboard. I really don't like her. And apparently there's 3 guys, and they're like fratty or like collegey, like kind of college people, even though they don't go to college, but that's their like attitude. And apparently there's like loads of character development, which is going to be nice, because I haven't had that in a Final Fantasy game for ages. And then the combat is like Kingdom Hearts, so that's obviously also awesome. That's it, really. That's all I have to say about the game. I have much more, but I'm not going to say it. Yeah, I can't.
I think I need to ask any question. I think you covered it in lots of detail.
Can't wait. It's going to be so good. Well, over all of the games you've already seen it because you've been watching. Viewer, you've already seen it because you've been watching since the start of the video, but I'll put gameplay of all of the games that we mentioned behind as we're talking about them, so that'll be nice for people to watch. I hope people have enjoyed it. It's been a long one, but
2016 hopefully a
2016
very good year for games.
Yeah, hopefully a very good game, might even be one of the best, and that's awesome. Yeah, everybody loves list videos, so I'm sure this one was a hit. We'll see you. Flannibal and Turtlewoods are now going. Goodbye.
Bye.
Step to it, on top! Turns out Luna's an Altisha. She made it out alive.
Well, you don't want to keep her waiting too long.
Anything else? It says she's holding on to something for me.